Hey everyone, this is Josh Hayward and welcome to 31 Days of Pumpkin. We're on episode 10 this evening. Thus far we've taken a look at 9 different, very different pumpkin brews. We've seen everything from your standard run-of-the-mill pumpkin ale to a Scottish ale brewed with pumpkin to a habanero pumpkin ale to even some heavier imperial type pumpkin ales. Tonight we're kind of going along with the trend. We've got something even more different for you. We've got the Jacko Traveler Pumpkin Shandy. This is from a limited release from the Traveler Beer Company out of Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm not a huge fan of shandies. I'll preface this review with that little remark. They're okay in the summertime. Still, I'm not the hugest fan of them, but this is a type of pumpkin ale, and I thought, why not? We've got to give the style, give the brew a chance at least. Not to say this isn't a good brew. I haven't had it. I don't even know that I've had anything from Traveler yet, but I'm looking forward to this one actually. It's a pumpkin ale, a different type of pumpkin brew than we've seen thus far, so I can't wait to try it. Let's see what we've got. All right, we got a beautiful color there. All right, yeah, beautiful golden, kind of a darker golden color, especially as you go further down in the glass. Kind of a light gold towards the very bottom as this snifter glass kind of bulbs out at the bottom, but rather hazy, I would say. Pretty hazy actually throughout the entire beer, which does lead me to believe that they actually use some real pumpkin in it. Give it a little swirl. Got a pretty strong white head on that, but yeah, very solid brew, solid looking brew, I should say. Kind of a golden color, almost looks like an apple cider in a way, just because you've got that cloudiness which comes from the pumpkin, and just that characteristic color of the pale and sometimes a little darker malt there. But yeah, very good looking brew. Let's see what we've got on the nose. Great aromas on the nose. Very clean, very crisp. I should say that some of these past reviews of these other beers, when you take a sniff, there's just sometimes so much going on. It's really hard to discern what you've got. But this, being that it's a shandy, this is a wheat beer actually. Another reason for some of that haze. Though flaked wheat and whatnot makes it a little cloudy, but you can definitely tell that it's a wheat beer just by the smell, and I say that just from having smelled a bunch of different kinds of beers. You're kind of met with that wheaty type aroma, but then you're getting some very pleasant some cinnamon, some pumpkin spice in there, maybe even a little bit of ginger. But the spices are very much discernible in this. I'm not sure if that's because they've used some lighter malt and then the wheat in this, or if they just had a different type of spice addition in this. But it's very pleasant. It's not overpowering, but you can almost smell each individual autumn spice in there. I'm getting some lemon in there as well. Maybe some tangy type aromas from a lemon peel in a way. It adds a very interesting fresh element, and I've got to tell the story now that I've got lemon peel in this. I smoked turkeys for Thanksgiving, and part of the dry rub that I use a lot of kind of coriander and pepper and cumin and a bunch of different spices, but the kind of one of the secret ingredients, if you call it a secret ingredient, is lemon peel. We zest like a whole bunch of lemons for this dry rub, and the great thing is it adds a great freshness to whatever you put it in. In that case, a smoked turkey. This case, a brew, a very a fresh element. Can also kind of clean up some of the other spices in there. Help there be a little bit more definition in the various spices used in whatever the application, brew or cooking or whatever. But very fresh beer here. I feel like it's kind of a combination. You know, you think shandy, you think summertime, these summertime weedy type ales, but they've added some pumpkin in this one. Yeah, let's see. Jack O is made with real pumpkin for delicious dark hued shandy inspired beer. So kind of a hybrid style, I would say. I'm very intrigued now and can't wait to try this. So let's see what we've got. Cheers. There's definitely pumpkin in it. This is an interesting brew. A whole lot lighter than anything we've had thus far. Very, very, very light, as opposed to some of these heavier ones that we've seen recently. We've seen several Imperials, the Scottish Ale, even just a standard pumpkin ale that's using pale malt and some caramel malt and crystal malt and things like that. This is much, much lighter. That's coming from the wheat that's used in this particular wheat beer. I think one of the first things I get is almost a sour element from some of the lemon zest that's used in this. Then you're getting some cinnamon, I think some nutmeg that kind of lasts throughout the taste, maybe even a little bit of ginger post taste, kind of that sharp autumn spice type flavor, and then definitely some pumpkin. I'm not sure if there's almost like a little bit of a sweetness in a way. Almost like canned pumpkin in a way. If you've ever tried canned pumpkin, it's different from the pumpkin that you'll pull out of a standard baking pumpkin or pumpkin pie pumpkin. There's a little bit of sweetness added to it. They add some sugar and things to it. So I'm tasting some of that. I'm not saying they put canned pumpkin in the brew. I'm just mentioning that's kind of what it reminds me of. Personally, I'm not a fan of the beer. I'm not a huge fan of shandies, so I'm somewhat jaded there. But it is a very interesting and very respectable change to the standard pumpkin ale. It's light, refreshing, kind of a hybrid style, especially as you're coming out of these hot summer months, especially in the South, kind of into the autumn. Kind of gives you a taste of the autumn flavor with that appeal of that summer type brew. Great definition on the spices that are used in this. Like I said, a very good alternative. Can't say that I would drink a lot of them. Again, just not a huge fan of shandies, but I definitely respect this Jack O Traveler Pumpkin Shandy. Very well done by the brewery. They knew what they wanted to brew, and they hit the nail on the head as far as the style goes and as far as the flavors that they were going for. So cheers to Traveler Beer on that one. Not a bad brew at all. Day 10 is in the books. Thank you so much for following along. Cheers.